Hello, welcome to the Trophy Trust, your weekly podcast for PlayStation Trophy Hunters. I'm one of your hosts, the Dazil. Joining me this evening, we have Nomad Dragon.
Hey there.
And we have Sora.
What up, guys?
Good evening, guys. Here we are. It's just the three of us. Vet can't join us this evening, but we will just try and do our regular episodes anyway and all of our regular segments. So, guys, what we'll do is we'll just go straight into what we've been playing and just get chatting about video games. So, I tell you what, Sora, why don't you lead the way and tell us what you've been up to recently?
I'll definitely lead the way. Thank you, Daz. So what I've been playing is I've still been doing Witcher 3. It's the same thing as the last time I was on the podcast. I feel like I played.
Well, we
30
wouldn't expect
hours.
any less. I mean, it's not Witcher 3 isn't a game you just rush through.
No, exactly. I'm not trying to speed run through it or anything, but so I looked at the timestamp of when I was last playing, and I put in 115 hours now.
Wow.
And I just got to the third main area. And
Damn.
it's like I'm starting to make progress now, like starting to get into the story and everything. Like I'm starting to find out more clues and everything, but it's just like all the side content that's packed into this game, and I haven't even started the DLC content.
Yeah, that's what I find when I play like open world games is you try and you end up getting sidetracked so easily because the side missions are so like alluring, so compelling to do. You know, like the mystery of or when you're just exploring an area, it's like, oh, what's around this corner? What's in this house? What's in this cave? You know, with just generally speaking, I haven't played any of the Witcher games or the Witcher 3 to prove a point with it, but I'm just speaking like generally about like Fallout, for example, or like I don't know, like GTA games, for example, when you're exploring the map and just finding like weird little things, or just any open world game really. And I like you get sidetracked so easily, but I guess that's the beauty of open world games is I think you're supposed to be distracted as you would in real life if you were strolling through a place with a lot of people would try and grab your attention, wouldn't they? If you were a hero in a strange land adventuring on, you would be pulled aside by someone, wouldn't you, and said, oh, you know, I have a problem. You know, you would always be distracted, and games like that seem to capture it quite well, and that's why we end up putting like hundreds and hundreds of hours in and not even get halfway through the stories, you know?
Well, that's what I love about Witcher 3, because like with side quests, they actually matter, and they actually like have an effect on the main story as well. So you'll go through the main story, and then there'll be something that happens in the main story, and then right after that, somebody will be like, oh, because of what happened in this main story, I now have a problem. And so it's good because it's more interactive. That way you feel like you have more of a place. You feel like you can put yourself into the game. Most
That's
games with open world games, like I'm trying to think of an example. I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but just as a general consensus, like some side quests don't really offer much in the point of actual like what do you get out of it? It's just mindless. Go here, get this, come back to me, get a reward.
Usually, it's just a little bit of loot or a bit of in-game credit or a weapon that ultimately you end up ditching anyway for a story-based weapon that's usually more powerful.
Exactly. And so that's kind of the reason why I'm putting so much time and effort into The Witcher, is because I'm so engrossed in this world, and I really like exploring it and everything. So
yeah, if you with any good game where you sort of build a character up, so to speak, like from humble beginnings and then eventually at the end game you're like super powerful. Like you invest like your time and your free time and effort and energy into a character, and yeah, like you said, it's easy to become really engrossed in the development of a character in terms of them going from having like the weakest shield and sword in the game to like the most ultimate OP weapon you can get in the game. You've been on a journey yourself, like covering every part of the map to gather up the best weapons. And often I find in open world games or just games that have loads of side quests that, for me personally, like if you have a map, like a hypothetical map of a generic open world game, I will always clear all the side. I will do a story mission. Then you get all the side missions that like spawn afterwards. I'll do all the side missions before even moving on to the next story mission. And usually by utilizing this method, by the end of the game, when you get to the final boss, final level, what have you, something that's supposed to be quite challenging, I've got so much experience and so much good gear and loot that by the end of the actual main story path, I'm like overpowered and end up just walking through the final missions like with ease because I've put so much effort into ticking all the boxes and doing all the side missions first. Is that something that you do?
No, see, that's what I love. You and me take the same approach to open world games. I start the first story mission because obviously you have to do that. Once you finish it, any side quests or any places of interest that you can explore or anything, I immediately go do that and I clear the map. And then once that is done, I just continue on with the story and I feel like a god because you have all this experience and everything, all this equipment and everything, and you feel like you can tackle on and everything. It's like a sense of it gives me like dopamine. Like my dopamine receptors are like kind of kicking in, and I'm just like, it's like a rush of energy that comes into me. I love feeling like that.
But The Witcher 3 just straight in my veins.
It's exactly. I feel like I'm infusing Witcher 3 blood into my veins. But like at the same time, I talk all about these open world games and I love them and everything. But honestly, man, I'm getting a little bit like shorted out on open world games. I think there's too much of them. There's too many open world games now.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I try not to play too many too close to each other. I always try and, like, with my method in regards to just gaming in general, is I will do, when I play a game, my next game will be try and be the opposite in regards to length, genre. So, for example, like I played like God of War. It's been I can't remember how many hours, but I platinum God of War. Then after that, there's no way I'm going to go into another big sort of epic AAA, so to speak, like game. So I want to play something really small, something like a couple of hours indie game, and then maybe another small indie game or something very short, usually like a short VR game, for example. And then after a couple of them in a row, then I'm good and ready for a bigger game again. Not necessarily an open world game, but just something that's quite lengthy with a lot to do in it. I can't go back to back with big games because I just get burnt out. I like with my gaming, for me, so it'll be like it'll be like an FPS, but then it has to be like a cartoony platformer. Then after that, it'll have to be like third person action adventure. I have to kind of keep the genres and styles different, and also time as well to complete different in each one. It just keeps it fresh, and open world seems to be a thing, at least the last few years. We're trying to make everything big and open, but the problem with that is some of these games I've played, and I'll tell you just one off the top of my head, which I found the most not annoying but kind of a bit of a chore to do. It was Saints Row 4. Now after Saints Row the third, which I really liked, I played Saints Row 4 and I just felt that they just put loads of stuff in there just as filler. None of it felt really satisfying. It just felt like the same kind of like missions over and over again, but just slightly different context around the map. Once you had done the main story, there was just like capture these alien points or do this or do these like destruction levels. Insurance fraud, I think, was one of the side missions where basically you just cause yourself as much injury as possible in an environment, just basically a mayhem mode. And that's the problem when developers build these big open worlds. I've sometimes, not all of them, but sometimes maybe they feel a struggle to actually fill them with like stuff that keeps the player engaged, because you usually find a lot of side missions are quite repetitive, especially in like for example, Mafia 3 that I just played, a lot of the missions are quite repetitive. It's like, go here, interrogate this person, go here, destroy this, go here to steal this money, and then finally go and take down the district crime racket boss. And then it was just like rinse repeat for every other district. So while the context was slightly different, the core gameplay was basically the same over and over again. So yeah, that's a problem. Just having trying to keep it fresh and keep the player engaged without having boredom 20 hours into a 100-hour game.
Well, you see, that was always the problem with like Saints Row 3rd had kind of like a lot of variety, and I liked it. Saints Row 4 is where like kind of like it hit it for me, where I was just like I was doing the same thing over and over, because you can only do so many insurance frauds before you're like, yeah, I'm done. I don't need to do this anymore. there's only so many like Professor Genki missions you can do before you're just like, I'm done.
Yeah, I found them pretty repetitive, and the previous game had insurance fraud and Professor Genki destruction, like madhouse missions, So having it again, and the thing that was missing from Saints Row 4 was like in the third, you had to like capture districts, didn't you? Like take over businesses and stuff. But in the fourth one, it was just sort of random missions all over the map, and we used the same map again, but just kind of reskinned it into like a virtual reality, digital kind of style. And yeah, I don't know. I was disappointed by the fourth one, but anyway, we've gone well off track. Is it just The Witcher you've been playing then?
No, I don't. I mean, I take some breaks in between playing The Witcher because just playing The Witcher just itself is like it gets to be a little bit too much. But I mean, the only other game I've been playing after that is Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. And that's just a game that I like to play just to take my mind off of the grandiose of The Witcher. So it's nothing really that I can talk about or anything.
All right, fair enough. All right, Nomad, how about you? What have you been up to?
I play a lot of Destiny 2. That's what takes up majority of my gaming time lately.
Mm-hmm. I understand that there's been a recent addition to the content. If you'd like to go into a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, there's a new DLC called The Forsaken. It's there was a reveal about it like a week ago. It's coming out in September. It's gonna be $40, which is standard for the Destiny 1 like DLC, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to be bigger than the game like that we have now with 2 DLCs. So this DLC is supposed to be over 70 gigs worth of content, and the game is barely at 70. Yeah, I'm super interested. Like, I'm hyped beyond reason, which I didn't think could happen again with Destiny, honestly, because I don't really get hyped for much things anymore. Besides that, I mean, I've been playing Borderlands 2 on PS3. Vectronic has been helping me get some trophies on that I didn't clean up a long time ago.
Okay. Anything in particular?
Well, he's been he helped me find Leroy Jenkins or whatever. I don't know the little guy's name. I don't know.
Jimmy Jenkins.
Jimmy Jenkins. There we go.
I knew what he meant. The little tiny robot.
Yeah, like found in random boxes, which luckily we got it after like 4 tries, but the first try that we did it, Vect accidentally killed it, so I didn't get the thing, so we had to like keep loading in and going back.
Yeah, I know all about that. It took me many attempts. I must have reloaded that mission over and over again to get it, and yeah, I had to get it through on my second playthrough because I needed a couple of. You have to increase the spawn rate. We talked about this a few episodes ago. You have to have a few missions active, and it kind of like boosts the spawn percentage. And I did manage to get it, but yeah, what a awful requirement for that's for like all the not skill points, but like
the level one.
Yeah, level 1 challenges.
Non-level specific challenges with single character.
That is awful.
5
that's like the worst
one.
one.
That took me.
Yeah, I still have that trophy. I have about 10 things left. I've been making a checklist for that, and then I have like 4 other trophies. So hopefully, I should finish that game up in like a week or so.
Yeah.
Cool. I really liked Borderlands 2. I didn't play it on PS3. I actually got the Handsome Collection for PS4, so I didn't play it till quite a few years later. But I did Platinum Borderlands 1 on PS3.
I did that.
Played the pre-sequel though. It's in the Handsome Collection, but
I played it. Never finished.
Yeah, by the time I platinum Borderlands 2, I completely had my full Borderlands. So I was like, I have no desire to play the pre-sequel at all, and I just got rid of the collection anyway. So, and I'm looking at the trophies for it. It's all I just didn't want to bother. It seems to be more like requires more multiplayer help, like to get the platinum. At least
definitely
more efficiently. You have help from friends, and I just couldn't be bothered with trying to find people, so just left it. But Borderlands 2, though, I really do enjoy that. It did enjoy my time with it. It was a good game.
Yeah, and besides that, I played one other game, Batman Season 2. I still haven't finished it. Like, I started in February, and I've only done 2 episodes, which is pretty sad.
Man, you can bang through that in a day.
Yeah, I know. It's just like every time I like look at starting it, I'm just like, I'll be done with this in like 6 hours. What else could I be doing in 6 hours? Like I would like I don't know. It's
And then
just
they go right back to Destiny 2.
yeah, pretty much. I put like 200 hours in Destiny 2 in the last month, so it's
God
pretty insane.
almighty, man.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
he's getting his money's worth.
I'm about to reach the 500-hour mark, and it's pretty crazy. But I have friends that like are in the 2,000-hour mark, so like
Yeah.
What was
I
that
feel
one
like
guy you were talking to me about, Nomad? There was one guy you were telling me about.
yeah,
about
one of my
his
friends
hours
in my
Destiny.
clan, he has 3,500 hours in Destiny 1, which is a little over 210 days. Like it's insane. But he said
Yeah,
he
well,
literally didn't play anything else. Like that's all he played for like 3 years. So
yeah, well, that's to be expected from like people that play like Warcraft or like MOBAs and stuff online as well. You know, if you just play that one game or just into that one game like Warcraft, Heroes of the Storm, you know, all of that kind of stuff on PC, then obviously you're just going to focus all your free time into it. And when people say, "Oh, I've put like what you said, like 3,500 hours," it sounds like huge, but if that's literally all you do, then obviously it's going to rack up the hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I can definitely see myself putting in a lot of hours, but nowhere close to that. Like, cause I like variety with my gaming, so
Yeah, I agree.
I
I
can't
agree,
just play one game entire year. That's insane.
Yeah.
What about you, Daz? What you been playing?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I've got three things to talk about, but I will try and get through them quickly. I touched on it just a moment ago with Mafia 3. I managed to finish and platinum that. As I said before, it requires two playthroughs, but it's actually more like one playthrough and like 2/3 or through. It's not an entire playthrough. Um, managed to actually smash through most of the story, but basically, as I've explained before, the first playthrough you have to be like recruit everyone, save everyone, be loyal, and like do all the side missions. And the second playthrough is like kill everyone, betray everyone, and you don't really have to do the side missions because you don't need to earn loyalty and all of that. So the second playthrough is a lot quicker. I just stuck just to the story, and I managed to get through it within 2 days. Like two like lengthy sessions over the course of 2 days. So I got through it a lot quicker than I thought I was going to do anyway. Yeah, so which is good. I really liked it. I know a lot of people didn't really enjoy it that much, and it was like very broken at launch. But me playing it, you know, a few years later, and it had been fixed. And at launch, it had like many problems, like with like the stealth, the AI, the cover, loads of like visual glitches. Which I had a few visual glitches, but nothing that really affected my gameplay. And of course, trophies are like completely broken when it first came out. Like a lot of people would like the trophies that require the most work were not popping for people, but I'm happy to say that I had no trophy problems at all. Everything popped in the right place. Everything was fine. It was good. I enjoyed it. Looks really nice on Pro. Just throwing that out there. It looks great. It's a nice game.
Does that game build on Mafia 2? Like, does it continue, or is it completely new? Or
No, it does, but in an indirect kind of way because I really like Mafia 2.
yeah, I did. I enjoyed it.
Play as Vito in that game, and in this game it's set about 15 years later. You play as someone else, but Vito is in this game. He's one of your he's like a boss you can recruit because you get under bosses. Like you're the main boss, and when you control a district in the city, you can then assign it to an underboss to run it for you, and then you get a cut of the profit from that boss, which you can just go and collect, and it just gives you gives you money to spend, buy upgrades, weapons, blah blah blah, same kind of thing. And yeah, Vito is one of the 3 bosses that you can recruit. So, and yeah, Mafia 2 did end in a cliffhanger, which I was like quite invested in. You know, I really like the story in that game. And if you do enough side missions for Vito, he does actually tell you what happens, because that if anyone who's played 2, I won't spoil it, but it does end in like quite dramatic kind of like cliffhanger, and it just cuts off and that's it, it's over. But Vito does explain what actually happens afterwards if you do enough side missions and grow your loyalty for him enough, that he sort of opens up and tells you what happens. So which was cool because it gave me closure on the previous game, which was nice. Yeah, so that was that done. It's pretty easy platinum, to be honest.
With Mafia 3, like I've heard about all the glitches and everything, and I know most of would have resolved. Well, one of the main things that I keep hearing about Mafia 3 is that the missions are repetitive.
Yeah, that's
Is that a main staying problem throughout the game?
Like I just described a little while ago, it is repetitive because you like I said, it's you do the same things but in slightly different contexts. But yeah, like I just said earlier, you have to damage crime rackets to take them over. So you have like a just off the top of my head, like a drug smuggling crime racket, and you have to do enough damage to it to draw the boss out. So you'll get missions where within the mission of the crime racket, you'll have to go and interrogate someone to go and find out where the drugs are being stored or shipped from. Then you can either kill or recruit that informant. That adds money, damage, that takes damage money off of the crime racket. Basically, you've got to bring the damage down to zero. So the crime racket will be like, just for example, 10 grand. And every damage you do to it or person or like informant you kill will chip money off of the business until it's damaged enough, until the boss presents himself. So you interrogate someone, find out where the drugs are hidden, destroy or steal the drugs. You then have like enforcers, which are like bodyguards for the boss of the racket. You can go and kill them because then when you draw the boss out, he hasn't got backup. If you don't kill him, he'll have backup during the boss fight. I say boss fight, but during the encounter. So you can kill them. That damages the racket even more. And then like other random things happen in the mission. Sometimes you'll have to follow a car to go and find like a drop point to steal money. You can steal money out of like the hideouts of the criminals, and you just chip the damage down to zero. And you go and talk to the person that gave you the mission. The boss will come out in an area that you've previously visited. You go in and you can either kill them or recruit them. It doesn't really matter in regards to like progressing the story. It just depends on the ending that you get, which is the requirement for like the 2 playthroughs. But it is basically rinse repeat. It is that formula that I've just said about, let me think, how many there's 9 districts in the game and there's 2 rackets per district. So yeah, it's like 18 times you have to do like pretty much the same formula. So yeah, it is repetitive. I won't try and sugarcoat it. It is repetitive, but I personally didn't mind it.
But if you're able to get through that, the game itself is a pretty enjoyable experience, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the story. I really like the characters in it. I like the setting. I like the New Orleans setting. I actually really like the New Orleans style setting in like Infamous 2 as well. And I liked the New Orleans setting in like the Hitman Blood Money during Mardi Gras. That was really cool. I don't know. I just like seeing like New Orleans and stuff in video games. I don't know why. I just think it's a really fascinating part of the world. So it's cool to see a game set in it. And yeah, during like the late 60s and like this, they do not hold back on the racism either. It is full on. But it is a good game. I liked it. A lot of people don't, but I personally liked it. And the platinum's not too hard either. It just requires quite a bit of time and a bit of setup to do, really. Especially you've got to do an all save or an all kill. You can't mix and match. You have to have 2 playthroughs. There's no short way of doing it. Excuse me. After that, I downloaded a small PSVR title to cleanse my palate from a big game to a small game. Downloaded Island Time, and it's a cool little game. It's like cartoony style. There's only 1 character in the game. It's this crab called Carl. He's voiced by Greg Miller, from Kind of Funny Games.
Yeah.
And he's really funny in that game. Basically, you're just marooned on a tiny little island, and I mean a tiny island. It's like only a couple of meters squared, and you have to survive. You have a watch on that has your life bar, which is just constantly decreasing because you're hungry. Like it's like it's not in real time. Like it's like a day is like a couple of minutes, before the sun sets and comes back up again. So you just have to last as long as you can without starving to death. And you're marooned on the island. Crates wash up every now and then. And inside there's wood and rocks, and you can put the rocks and bang them together to create sparks to light fire, and then you can pull bamboo out of the ground and tie rocks on the end to make a spear so you can go fishing. You use 2 move controllers and like spear fish out the water and then cook them. You've got to be careful not to eat poison or rotten fish because that damages your health. You've got to be careful not to set yourself on fire, which I did loads of times. If you get your hands too close to the fire, you just set alight and it just basically kills you if you don't wiggle your hands quick enough to put it out. You can knock coconuts off the palm tree on the island, and you can make these cool tools, like with stuff that washes up. So a crate washed up and it had a skull in it with a monocle. Pull the monocle off and combine it with some bamboo, and it makes a magnifying glass, and you can use it to focus the sun on wood to set it alight, so you can cook fish. So if you don't have any rocks, you can set stuff alight with it. Or the crab, he gives you his claw, and you combine it with bamboo, and it becomes like like a garbage, like a trash picker claw. That's the best way I can describe it. So you can grab stuff from a distance, like grab the coconuts off the tree from a distance, or grab stuff that's just slightly out of your reach, being in VR, just slightly too far away to reach. I really liked it. I managed to platinum it in about 2 hours. The longest you have to survive is 20 minutes, which can be tricky, but it's kind of almost luck based, because when the crates wash up, it's kind of randomized what's in them. And there's just a few kind of random physics-based trophy requirements that you have to do. Like you have to eat like 10 coconuts quickly, and there's one where you have to like cook a seagull, but the seagulls are constantly like circling around the island trying to steal your fish. So you have to kind of like, I actually got it by accident. I actually speared a seagull trying to scare it away, and it fell in the fire and cooked itself. So I got that one by accident. But I thought it was a really cool game. It was really cheap as well. I think it was about £11. It's really short, and I thought it was really fun. I had a good time with it, but you need quite a lot of open space to play it, because even though I've got a decent amount of space to play VR standing up, I was still knocking into walls, and I found it a bit difficult. I was still like bashing walls with my move controllers, so that's the downside of it, unfortunately. But and then I started Resident Evil 6. The PS4 version. I really like Resident Evil 6 on PS3. I know a lot of people hate on this game. I know it's not the best Resident Evil game. I totally accept that, but I liked it because I thought it was a decent action game. I picked it up in a sale about a month or two ago for like £7. It was like crazy cheap or something like that. It was definitely about under a tenner. And it's just been sitting on my system ever since, and I thought I'd start it up and give it a go. I haven't played like a air quotations horror game, because I wouldn't really call this like a horror game. There's a few jump scares in it, but it's not traditional like Resident Evil survival horror. It's action horror.
So I went into Resident Evil 5, and I played that when it came out and everything. And then when Resident Evil 6 was announced and everything, I was okay. I loved Resident Evil 5. I never played 4, but I played 5 and I loved it. And Resident Evil 6 was announced, and I was like, okay, I'm definitely gonna get it. I loved 5 and everything. I got it, and then I played through the first section of Chris's campaign, and then I didn't really like it that much, and so I was like, okay. And so you can go to every character's like individual storylines, and so then I went to Leon's storyline, and I played through that, and that was when the game actually got good, because that was more the old Resident Evil formula.
Yeah, so Leon's is the most traditional in terms of like Leon's campaign in 6 is akin to like 5 and 4 in terms of gameplay style, while Chris's is more sort of faster paced action, because he's got a lot of automatic weapons and stuff to use, and they're slightly different takes on styles per character.
And so overall, I don't like Resident Evil 6 as a whole, but I will say that I really, really enjoyed Leon's campaign, and I thought it was one of the best campaigns. I really do like that aspect of it, but I mean, I don't like Resident Evil 6 as a whole.
Yeah, I've started off with Leon's campaign anyway, because it's just the top of the list, and I'll get through it. I platinumed it on PS3, and I'll do it again on PS4. I'm playing it on professional mode from the start. The only downside to doing the platinum for Resident Evil 6 is it requires a lot of end-game grinding, because in the game when you kill enemies, you get skill points, which you use to buy upgrades to your character, like increased firearm power, increased defense, blah, 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 etc., etc. But you need to buy like all of the skills and all of the upgrades. You get like level 1, level 2, level 3, and so on. And I will have to do a lot of grinding. There's one particular Chris mission where you get like the most amount of skill points by killing enemies. And I remember just grinding that maybe about 20 times on PS3 version. And I'm probably gonna have to face that again, because that's the quickest way to do it. But yeah, it was okay. I still look back fondly on the PS3 version for sure. And otherwise I wouldn't have bought the PS4 version. If I have no interest in replaying 5 though. I'm not saying that 6 is better than 5. I just remember having more fun with 6 than with 5. Like just like roundhouse kicking zombies and like doing like Leon does like wrestling moves on the zombies in this game. It's really strange. He'll do like flying kicks and he'll just like I'm no good with like name wrestling moves. He'll like grab him by the neck from behind and slam him into the ground. And
there's a move that Chris does. He does a super onto one of them, and I'm like, damn. I didn't know Resident Evil turned into a wrestling game. But
yeah,
it was
really
enjoyable.
crazy.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and that's all I've been playing recently. Just been doing a little bit of Resident Evil 6 every now and then over the last few days. So with that, guys, I think what we'll do is we'll just move on into the news section. Vec isn't here, of course, to read through the news, but we haven't got many news stories to cover, so we'll probably get through it pretty quickly. I have the stories here. Let me just find them. Here we go. So what we'll do is we'll just go through and we've got 4 stories to cover. We're really close to E3. There's been loads of like leaks, rumors. There's announcements leading up to E3. Of course, there always is. Sony's announcing stuff like basically every day leading up to E3. We're not actually covering really much of that here. We're just doing a few things because we're not going to be doing E3 predictions either, because by the time this podcast goes out, E3 is going to probably be in full swing, if not the bulk of E3 past, depending on when this episode gets edited and put up. So we're not going to be doing predictions because it's too late for that. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to go through this and not got much to go through. So firstly, Days Gone has got a release date now. It's been revealed for February 22nd, 2019. So that's in the first quarter of next year. Guys, I think we saw this coming, really, didn't we?
Yeah. I kind of expected it to be Q1 of the next year. I didn't really think it was going to go further than that. I knew it was going to come out relatively soon.
Yeah, definitely keeping well clear of like a Red Dead, and of course Spider-Man's launching on the same platform, like in a first-party game. So yeah,
let me tell you, if it would have released alongside those 2 games, it would have gotten swallowed. No one would have bought it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still looking forward to it. I'm definitely interested in it. I'm not a big zombie game kind of person, but it looks interesting enough, and I'll give it a go for sure.
No, Days Gone. The first trailer didn't really spark any interest in me because it was just just one long cutscene or anything. But then when it got to the gameplay and I saw the bear and everything, that got me going. I was like, okay, this may be good. I just want to see more gameplay.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I saw like 30 minutes of gameplay from PlayStation Access. Those guys are really cool on YouTube. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it looks really interesting. It reminds me of like Sons of Anarchy meets like zombie survival. So I think it should be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely got sort of like obviously the biking aspect, Sons of Anarchy, but it's got like a Last of Us vibe. It's got very heavy Walking Dead influences as well. Everything's sort of like so depressing and people trying to establish little like groups and camps, survivors like grouping together. I'm not really a fan of Walking Dead. I don't really care much for it anyway, outside of outside of the Telltale video games. I don't watch the series or I haven't read the comics. But this looks like something that Walking Dead people may enjoy.
Yeah, I hope it turns out well because it's a PlayStation exclusive. So
yeah, I hope now that like between now and when they launch, it gives them plenty of time to polish up the game real nice. I know like when some of the very first footage was released, that people were nitpicking at like draw distances and like a slight screen tearing and just like a few things. So maybe the game was closer to being finished this year before they set everything in place or before Rockstar dropped the release date for Red Dead. So I don't know, maybe they could just take the time to polish the game up and get it all nice and shiny for when it does launch next year. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be hit or miss, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next one. Code Vein comes to systems on September 28th, 2018, this year. I don't really know much about Code Vein. I've seen a few some footage of it and some pictures, but it's not really my kind of game. Are you guys interested in it at all?
Yeah, I'm really interested in it. I think it's like a mix of like Dark Souls and I think that game called Soul Eater. Is that what it's called?
God Eater.
Oh, God Eater. Yeah, there you go. But I mean, I really love anime, and I really think it could be like a really popular game. I mean, I just want
It's
to see
certainly
more
got a
of it.
really striking visual style to it, though. It looks really nice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
It's got a kind of an upgraded Tales of look to it. To a T, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
models and everything look kind of Tales of, but like to a more graphical level. I like it because it's just it takes place around vampires and everything, and I love that. It's a post-apocalyptic vampiric action RPG, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
Ah, there we go. Ticks all the boxes for you then.
Ticks every single box. I love it. I can't wait for it to come out. It'll
It's
be day
cool.
one, definitely.
I don't know if it'll be day one because September is already a busy month, like with Destiny and Spider-Man coming out. So
Mm.
Whenever you can fit it in, there's never any
Yeah.
rush to
yeah, I'm
play
not in
games,
a rush.
Now, we spoke about this before, like the artificial kind of like demand or like rush to get a new game. There's no rush. Just take your time, guys. Get round to it when you're good and comfortable to get round to it. And I was always like a rush to play the games because everyone else is playing it. But honestly, I've never, other than like a few games recently at launch, like God of War was the last one I could think of buying it at launch. I don't really rush to buy games. I get round to it when I get round to it. Sometimes I don't even feel like playing that particular genre of game, or I'm in the middle of
It's
playing
like a
another
year
big
later.
game. Yeah, exactly. Or I wait for stuff that's on sale because I don't feel confident or buying it when it's brand new because we often with big games more often than not a lot of problems at launch, whether it's like server issues, if it's online, or if it's like issues within the software. Like I was speaking about Mafia, for example, when it launched, it was not in a good state, and then 10 patches later, a couple of years later, it's still a little buggy here and there, but it's largely fine. So I don't see the rush. It's I think all them years of like Assassin's Creed games have been good examples of like games where big games, big budgets, and all that, but still they have rough launches sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
Yeah.
it's just good to hold off and just wait, and see
Well,
what
yeah.
it's like.
And that's what's nice about like I think being more in like the digital age. We don't have to worry about games going way up in price like we did when we were kids because like there's no rarity in games anymore. Like I feel like we can buy it whenever. Like it doesn't matter unless it's like a fully online game.
Yeah, I mean, even with digital sales as well. I mean, give it a month or two, and games are already
It's
on
like
sale
half
on
price.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, currently
because
at the moment, you've got like God of War is in the Days of Play sale on PSN, and that's got about I can't think of the price right now, but it's definitely come down about 10 or £12. So it's a little cheaper online at the moment, like digitally, I mean, speaking. But yeah, there's always like loads of awesome games on sale, like that usually crop up in the sales. Like Doom 2016, for example, amazing game, but you can get that game now on PSN for like I think it's like around £10 or less, and sometimes you can get like gold editions of games with all the DLC for like only a few pounds more or dollars more, or euros more. So yeah, sometimes patience pays off, like literally pays off, saves you money. So
mm-hmm.
there's not always a rush to buy stuff at launch. Don't like all the flashy advertising and publishers like buzzwords and like, oh, pre-order now for exclusive blah blah blah. It's like, just take your time. There's no rush. Anyway, I went off on a bit of a tangent there. Next news story, I will go for this one about Persona 3 and 5 dancing games coming to the West spring 2019. That's hit the dance floor dancing in Moonlight for Persona 3 and Persona 5 dancing in Starlight. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Coming to PS4 and PS Vita, but for Vita, I don't think it's getting a physical copy. I think they're just digital only now. Sorry if I got any of that wrong, but I have bare minimum knowledge about the Persona games. I haven't played any of them. I know they've got a huge following. I know they're incredibly popular, but they're not something that I'm personally interested in. So I've not really invested any time into looking into them. But Sora, I know you have.
Yes. So Persona 3 dancing in Moonlight and Persona 5 dancing in Starlight, they're not your typical JRPG, action JRPG games. They're rhythm-based, pretty much music games. And so basically where this all started was Persona 4 Dancing All Night was released for PlayStation Vita, and then you could also use it on your PlayStation TV. And it gained a lot of fan appeal, and everything. And so once Persona 5 released, a lot of people were demanding, where's gonna be Persona 5 dancing all night and everything. And so I think it was 2 months after the game released, Atlas released a trailer showing not only Persona 5 dancing in Starlight, but they added on a little thing called Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight, which is the game that released way, way back in the day. And now they're making a dancing version of that game. So if you're a fan of Persona and everything like me, if you're a fan of JRPGs and everything, this is kind of, I don't know how you would feel about it because it is a rhythm-based music game. So, I mean, you do have to have rhythm and everything if you do want to play it successfully at least. But I mean,
aren't these dancing games, these like spin-off dancing games, they're as popular as the actual main series, aren't they? Because I've seen a lot of people get quite hyped over them in the past.
Persona 4 Dancing All Night was such a huge success. That is why they're making these 2 games. They wouldn't have made those games if Dancing All Night didn't do as well as it did.
Sure.
But it like they have stories in them too. Like the story in Persona 4 was really good, and it had a connecting story to the original game. I'm sure these 2 will be no different or anything, but it's good that dancing games can have a story to tell of their own, other than just being mindless rhythm-based dancing games.
Are they like the Hatsune Miku games? Like, as far as rhythm?
It takes a little bit from Hatsune Miku, yeah. If you know that game, then
yeah, I know that game. I've just never played a Persona music game.
It's pretty much the same as Hatsune Miku. I'm personally, for me, I'm super excited just because I love the characters and I'm very music inclined myself. So music plus anime characters from some of my favorite games, that's just checking off the checkboxes right there as well.
Yeah, I've never played Persona, but I've listened to all the soundtracks because they're awesome. Like,
and there's so many remixes done by so many Japanese artists. There's some done by English artists they remix a lot of the songs that are in both these games, and they make it their own. And Atlas commissioned them to do it, so I like that.
Cool. All right, then. Well, we'll move on to our last news story then. This is just a rumor, but this has actually been a rumor that's been around for quite some time now. That Rocksteady, best known for the Batman Arkham games, has been developing a Superman game. Now, this is not brand new news in terms of like rumors. I've heard this one for a long time now, or at least people maybe wishful thinking. This is sort of like I know we weren't really going to do it, but this is like more of a kind of in line with an E3 prediction. Rocksteady have been like quite quiet, at least since like Arkham Knight game. They've been under wraps. Haven't really said anything.
They haven't said anything about anything new.
And they work underneath WB, so they could be working on a Superman game. I'm not too sure if personally I'd be interested. I played. We're not assuming it's like Arkham style, but it might be. Again, this is all just rumor and speculation, hypotheticals. So take it with a pinch of salt. But I'm not sure I'd be interested, to be honest. I'm really not that big into DC. I'm more Marvel, to be honest. So my sort of geeky knowledge lies more on the Marvel side than on the DC side. So I'm not really that interested in modern day kind of DC or like the movies and like the TV series and all of that. It's not really for me. So I never played Arkham Knight. I played Arkham Asylum. That game was awesome. Loved it back in the day. Then Arkham City came out and I played it, and I didn't actually really like it that much because I felt like it was too big. Like there was just overwhelming amount of things to do, all them Riddler trophies and all them side missions and all the villains hidden in the game. And I felt a little too overwhelmed to really enjoy it. I just pushed through the story quickly and got it done. I didn't even try to do any of the side missions. I just kind of had my fill pretty quickly. Totally skipped Arkham Origins, and I didn't play Arkham Knight. So yeah, probably if this, again, rumor, but if it turns out to be true, probably not really that interested, to be honest, at least not initially. But does it take any of your fancy, guys? Either of you Superman, DC fans, or even willing to try a Superman game in Rocksteady style?
I mean, when it comes to DC, I'm definitely a fan of it, but only when it comes to Batman. Just I like all the movies and everything. I loved all the Arkham. I don't know how a Superman Rocksteady game would do, honestly. Superman's kind of had a bad rapport when it comes to video games.
Yeah, definitely.
It definitely hasn't had the best track record.
I don't remember a Superman game since N64, so I mean,
there were some NES games. Some were okay. There were some that tanked really hard, but 64 is what gave it the history.
Gave it its infamy.
Yeah, yeah.
The what was I going to say? I just totally lost my train of thought. The Superman games. I mean, it's the rumor is now that it's a Superman game, but for years people were like thinking, oh, they need to do. They've put up so much work and referencing and setting up like a potential like Justice League game because of like references that are within the Arkham games. You know, like kind of building a video game world, a video game sort of like connected universe. So the next logical step would be like, you know, a Justice League game, but again, that was just rumor, and we still don't know anything. But I don't know. Like I said, they've been quiet for a while. They could wheel out a Superman game. I don't know, but yeah, how would they do it? You know, like the thing about being Batman is it's all about being stealth. Batman doesn't actually have any like superpowers, like in terms of like what Superman has. You know, like Batman has to climb up stuff. He has to use gadgets. He has to use the shadows to his advantage. You know, and stalk. But Superman, he's Superman. Like he doesn't have to hide. You know, he's bulletproof. He's practically indestructible. You know, against like human enemies. So like, I don't know. You
would definitely have to bring a force for Superman. You would definitely have to bring something in for a threat to occur with Superman, for it to be a good game at least.
You wouldn't be fighting humans, that's for sure.
I mean, I definitely think this is the time, like, to like start releasing all the superhero like video games, because like I feel like with the engines we have now, I mean, they could be so much greater than they were like 10 years ago. I mean,
well, it's good that you actually said that, Nomad, because Daz, you said you were a Marvel fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing you're a fan of the Avengers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Did you ever hear about Square Enix doing an Avengers project?
Yeah, that looks awesome.
And
they did that CG trailer. Was it like 2 years ago now?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, and they're going to be showing it at their Square Enix showcase this E3.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. It all depends on what it's going to be like. I mean, yeah, I know almost nothing about it, so I can't really say anything about it, to be honest. But I'm definitely interested. But as soon as the details come out, it may turn me off of it. I don't know. But yeah, I like how Marvel is dividing up its IP amongst studios rather than just like say we've gone into this before when we were talking about Star Wars Battlefront, how, you know, just EA owns Star Wars, but Marvel is given the licensing out to like loads of studios, which I wish Disney had done with Star Wars. You know, we've had this conversation at length before. It would have been awesome if Star Wars was divided up amongst like loads of publishers and studios to do loads of different types of games, you know. So maybe Marvel were doing it right. Anyway, that is the end of the news. As we said, it was pretty short. So what we'll do, guys, is we'll just move on to our Tricky Trophy section. Now, Tricky Trophies is where we look back through our trophy collections at some of the most challenging, rage-inducing gameplay, or just plain boredom and grinding we've had to endure for a single trophy. And I'll tell you what, guys, I'll go first because this one is a rage-inducing one. This one is, I can't believe I've not mentioned this one before, but yeah, I was flicking way, way back in my trophy collection, and this one actually came to mind. This is from Heavy Rain. And this one in particular is called Kamikaze. Now, in this, if you've played Heavy Rain or if you haven't, there is a particular chapter in Heavy Rain where you have to, as a challenge, as a trial laid down by the origami killer, the antagonist of the game, you have to, as a character, drive full speed up the wrong way of a motorway into oncoming traffic. And as you can imagine, in a Quantic Dream game, it's just a series of quick time events, just bam, 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 and you have to, but it's not about just surviving. There is a particular route you have to take. Like, you can go down this motorway and avoid every car, but if you didn't do it in the particular right way, so like you have to like particularly swerve past a car, this one on the left, this one on the right. There's a particular order to swerving past these cars to get the trophy. And I must have done this level, I don't know, about 20 times, 25 times, and I didn't even get the trophy for it, just going over and over again, just getting madder and madder each time. And I looked up loads of different forum posts for it, what the actual method is, what people thought the method was. I followed the buttons to the letter and still didn't get the trophy. So after like really losing my shit with this game, I had one last option, and what I did is now Heavy Rain. A while after, I think it was like a year later, maybe after it came out, it got a PlayStation Move update where you could play through the game on PS3 using the Move controllers. And what that actually did is when you played with a Move, it actually simplified the QTE commands. It made them a lot simpler, where it was just twisting the Move controller in one way or moving it, like no face button prompts, just movement. And it made it so much easier. So I thought, I'll give it a go, see if it works. If not, I'm giving up. I'm throwing in the towel. And I did it with a Move controller, and it worked. The Move controller seemed to cut down the QTE's amount of them, the difficulty, and it seems to just automatically give you the correct directions to go. And yeah, I did it. I unlocked it with a Move controller, like on my 30th attempt. And it was horrible, absolutely horrible. And that's why I actually hated playing that game, because not only was it this horrendous motorway scene, but there's like 16 different endings you have to watch as well to get the endings trophy. And yeah, that I washed my hands of that game. That's why I didn't buy it again on PS4. I bought Beyond Two Souls, but not Heavy Rain. I will not go back to that game. As a trophy hunter, it is awful. But lesson learned, I guess. So if you want to platinum Heavy Rain, prepare for some rage, honestly. Sora, you want to go next?
Sure. So for my Tricky Trophy, I kind of like it because not only does it bring awareness to the trophy, but it actually promotes the Discord server as well. So, with my Tricky Trophy, it comes from Dark Souls, both the PS3 version and remastered. So the reason why I picked this trophy is because I got this trophy legit on the PS3 version. And knowing how hard it was and everything, I decided to use it as a Tricky Trophy. But let me go ahead and describe what it is. So it's called Knight's Honor. And so basically what you have to do is get every single one of the rare weapons and rare shields. And basically you'll get the trophy after that. The problem is you're having to get all the rare weapons. So that means you're having to get all the boss souls. That means you're having to do the game at least 3 times, because some boss souls have to be used more than once to get certain weapons and shields. And so I did this legit on PS3, and going through Dark Souls, in essence, it's hard on its own accord. But then having to do a new game, and then a new game plus, and then a new game plus, where every time you do another new game, the difficulty ramps up and gets harder and harder.
Yeah.
It kills your soul. And just doing that legit, because the online functionality of Dark Souls is not the best. So doing it with a friend or anything is pretty much near impossible at this point. And so I ended up getting that trophy on my own, thankfully. But when Dark Souls Remastered came out, I was kind of concerned that I was going to have to do that again. However, we have a wonderful person in our Discord server, our admin, Claire, who did everything by himself, and he got every single weapon, every single shield, every single item that you ever need for this trophy, and for a lot of the other trophies that you need from this game. And so basically, we have links to our Discord server at the bottom of this podcast. And so if you can join, and then Claire has updates, and one of those updates is a video that he has posted explaining what he does for people in the community. And basically what it just explains is he meets you in the game, he gives you all the stuff, and you get all the trophies that come along with it. And so getting the trophy this time around in the remastered version, so much easier. So much.
Yeah.
It cut down the platinum time from 110 hours to 60 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just to highlight again what you said, that we mentioned this last episode, Claire's been helping a lot of people out just off in his own free time, just because he loves Dark Souls games, Soulsborne games, and he enjoys helping people. And as Sora just said, he will meet up with people and he'll do weapons and items drops, so to help people along with the platinum. We've had such a huge increase of people join the server. I mean, obviously just to be helped with Dark Souls, but come for Dark Souls. Sorry, Dark Souls, and stay for the community. We've had a lot of people get involved in the Discord over it. So, yeah, just as Sora said, check out the links below this podcast, and if you need help with Dark Souls, then come over to the server. We'll have more information at the end of the show during our wrap up. But if you're struggling or you want to have your platinum time cut down, then come find Claire on Discord. It's not just Claire though.
It's
There are
Chingo.
other people.
Well,
Chingo Bingo is also helping as well. So just message them, and there is a queue. Of course, they can't help everyone all at one time. So I do stress that be patient with them. They are only they're only singular people in their free time. They're adults with adult life, so don't be
you gotta wait.
mad at
Be
them.
patient.
Just be patient. They're helping you off of their own free time. They don't have to help anyone at all. They've got the platinums. They could just delete the game and go on to something else, but they're taking time out of their life to help people because they enjoy helping people. So just be patient. Anyway, so Nomad, then that leaves you for your tricky trophy. What is yours?
All right, so my tricky trophy comes from an indie game called Stereo Aereo. It's basically a rhythm type game that you basically have 5 lanes where you have to dodge cars or asteroids or basically various things throughout. You fly through space in different levels and stuff.
Okay.
So on one of the trophies, it's I actually haven't completed this trophy, but I have the other tricky trophies that are leading up to it. So basically, you have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, which the hardest difficulty is once you get hit once, you have to restart the level, you die. So it's basically just memorizing the songs because everything that's flying at you is moving to the beat of the music.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I've gotten halfway through the game. I'm on level 6 of 10. So, yeah, basically, the one trophy that I got recently is called Dead or Alive. It speaks for itself. It's basically beating level 5 without taking any damage. But hopefully, with determination and dedication, I can get the rest of the game completed because I actually have a friend in the server that she bought the game last week and she already has the platinum. So I'm just wow,
Damn.
I need to put more focus into one game at a time because obviously it shows your skill.
Well, some people have better rhythm than others. People who.
Yeah, that's true too. Definitely. But yeah. I also think I didn't even think I could beat any levels without taking any damage. And when I saw someone else could do it, that I knew, I started working on it, and within 3 hours, I beat 3 levels, and I was just wow, it's not as hard as
perfect.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
the people. It's like when you see those crazy videos of people playing rhythm games like Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero.
On those mad difficulty with it. Just all the different colors and squares all coming down the rhythm track and. Yeah, it's amazing how people can just practice so much. But then again, like I said, practice makes perfect. You've got people who play real musical instruments who create incredible pieces of music, and it's just time and practice. But some people are more talented than others. They get a head start. Some people can pick up instruments or video games or anything hobbies like art or whatnot. Some people just born with natural talent for certain things, and that does apply to video games. Reflexes, rhythm, hand-eye coordination, etc., etc. So some people have to work a little harder than others to get things done. I'm not just talking video games, just talking in general. So on that note, guys, I think it is time to round up. So let's find out where we can all find each other outside of the Discord. So Sora, where can people find you?
Twitter.com/Rocksteady.
Okay, and Nomad?
Twitter.com, Nomad Dragon PSN. And then also I stream on Twitch at Nomad Dragon.
Awesome. Guys, you can find me on Twitter at the Dazeel, DAZEEL. So thank you for listening. As always, you can find our episodes on our YouTube channel, The Trophy Trust. Please support us there by subscribing for our future content. You can also find updates on our Twitter at The Trophy Trust. In the profile there, you can find links to this Discord that we record through. Great community, always on the move, always growing, and always welcoming to everyone who wants to come in and come on board and join all of our trophy hunting activities. So, if you enjoy the show, consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. We are a non-profit podcast, but we have to pay for server hosting costs to keep all of our content on iTunes and SoundCloud. Everyone, guys, thank you for joining me. This has been the Trophy Trust. Keep on hunting. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.